credit for you being a presidential, but I'll take it. So I'm super excited about this because I'm super passionate about leadership, and it's not because I think that I'm a great leader. It's because I've just have grown a lot as a leader. And I think that we're constantly growing as a leader. And if we're not, or if we're not at least trying to, like, we're doing something wrong. So I think if you're in this Zoom right now and you're like, no, I'm a great leader. Like, I don't really have anything to know. Like, I've kind of got that down. I just want to challenge you to just be open to learning something new, because if you're not always learning something new, especially about leadership, you're going to get in a really rough place for yourself and for your team. And I'll kind of explain where that was for me in my journey. So I'm a Presidential Diamond too. And so I joined in October of 2014. And I'll tell y'all more of my story from a leadership perspective, because, I mean, I could tell you my regular story, but it just would be white noise because you've already heard so many people's stories. Like, it doesn't really matter. So, I've done a lot of really cool things because of this business, but it's also been really, I've had my fair share of challenges. So for me, I promoted to Ruby 4 months after I joined. So I joined in October and promoted to Ruby in February. And I didn't know what I was doing. And whenever I say I don't know what I was doing, I legitimately didn't know what I was doing. I only went Ruby because I was teaching my team to do their steps of success. And I didn't even know that I could place people. I didn't know that I was able to, I don't know. I don't know what I thought, but I didn't know what I was doing. No one taught me how to chart. No one taught me how to sign up distributors or customers even. I just was learning everything on my own. And so be just super thankful that you have a leader like Cheyenne, and y'all have awesome leadership too. And I did too, but just be thankful that you have someone who really does care enough to have Zooms like these to pour into you, because that's a big deal. So I went Ruby and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to be a leader, and was just trying to do everything on my own, and kind of had this well, if you're not coming, then bye mentality. And it's just because I'm very I have a very red personality, which if you don't know what that is, it's very goal oriented, money driven, whatever. And it's not because I don't care about people. It's just I didn't know that I was supposed to help them see the vision. I was just well, you don't get it, blah, see you later, and I was just I'll just do it on my own. And that's a good mentality to have to a point, but then at some point you have to realize that you joined this business so that you could help other people too. And so while I was a Ruby, I really struggled with leadership, trying to figure out how to be a leader, trying to figure out what to do with my team. Sat at Ruby for a year. In that year, I almost quit. And the only reason why I didn't quit, literally almost canceled my account. The only reason why I didn't is because I met this guy at work who was dude, you're doing so good at this. You would be at the top of this business. Don't quit, because I mentioned it. That man is now my husband, and he was right. So he was encouraging me not to give up and not to quit this business. So I didn't. I also had earned, they did a Mexico cruise giveaway thing that year, and I had earned my spot on the cruise as a Ruby. And I just remember thinking, because I'd never been on a cruise at that point. I was okay, if I quit, I can't go on this cruise, and I'm definitely going on this cruise, so I guess I'm just not going to quit, and I'll just quit after the cruise if I quit. And so I went on that cruise ready to just give up, had been a Ruby for 10 months at that time, was so sick of just trying to do everything on my own, felt like my team wasn't really working. Well, because they weren't, but so I just was super frustrated, and I went to that cruise, and I learned so much. And it wasn't even a conference where they're intentionally teaching you things, but y'all, if you just surround yourself with people, and that could be on a Zoom, or it could be at a retreat, or it could be at conference, or one team, one mission, if you're surrounding yourself with people that have the same focus and drive and mentality as you, then you will be successful at this, and you will start to see the vision that they have. So I caught the vision for the first time of this company, and the fact that it doesn't matter how long it takes me to get to where I want to be, I will get there if I don't quit. And so I left that cruise having such a drive to just quit my job, to get to the top of the company, to go diamond, and all of these things I've been wanting to do but had lost sight of because I had just hit a couple of obstacles, and I was yeah, well, it's just not worth it. But it was. And so left the cruise, came back. The cruise is in December. By February, I had been able to go from Ruby to Emerald, Emerald to Diamond all on the same day, earned $22,000 in bonuses, quit both of my jobs. And y'all, at this time, like, I was working 9 a.m. to midnight every single day. I had 2 jobs. I worked 9 to like 4:30, full-time as an assistant manager at Finish Line, which is where I met my husband. And then I left, like at 4:30, I clocked out, went to the back room, changed into my black shirt, black pants, black shoes, ate dinner in a to-go Tupperware container on the way to my second job, clocked in at 5 and didn't leave till 11:30 or whenever I got cut. And so I was doing that every single day, and I was so exhausted. And then on top of that, I was trying to promote to Diamond with the team that wasn't helping me. Like, no one was signing anybody. I signed every distributor on that chart. I signed every customer to fill every box on that chart. And it was worth it to me. So I did it. And I promoted to Diamond, quit all my jobs, hadn't clocked into a job since. That was 2016, I believe. And then I sat at Diamond for a year. And my leadership as a Diamond was not good either. And I think it took me a long time to go presidential. And I say a long time, time is relative, and who knows what's a long time. Like, I only say that because I'm comparing myself to somebody like Cheyenne who's been in for less than 2 years. You're presidential too, right? So it took me longer to go presidential than a lot of other people, which is totally fine. I don't care how long it took me to get here because I'm here. But it took me longer, and I think that it was good for me because I really needed to grow as a leader before I was able to have a team this size. If I had grown to a team of this size back in 2016, oh heavens, that would not have been good because I just was not ready for a team of that size. And so I had this mentality whenever I went Diamond, and this is going to sound horrible to say out loud, so you can judge me if you want to, but I think it's like, I think if we are really honest, a lot of us have had this same thought too. Unless you're super yellow, then you probably haven't, and you're going to think that I'm a horrible person. But I kind of sat back and was like, okay, I'm good, so my team should be good. Like, I quit my jobs. Like, this was my goal, and I stopped dreaming. So I stopped dreaming for my team, and my team stopped dreaming. And so I was like, hey, we're good. Like, and if there was somebody that was on my chart as a 400 box and came and asked me a question, I would treat them almost differently. Not that I wouldn't help them, but I would almost treat them as less important than someone who came to me as the emerald on my chart to ask a question. And I know, again, that probably makes me sound horrible, but I just had this mentality of like, well, I only need you to be this on my chart. So it's not really that big of a deal if you go Ruby or if you don't. Instead of thinking, okay, you want to go Ruby, let's get you to Ruby. Who cares where you are on my chart or if you need it or don't? Like, let's go Ruby. And instead of having that mentality, I just kind of let everybody else's goals fall to the back burner so that I could just sit at Diamond and not really have to work that hard. So I maintained Diamond by just, the skin of my teeth. And a lot of people on my team quit. Like I said, whenever I went Diamond, a lot of those people weren't working. So then a lot of them fell off. And then I had a lot of new people join. And then a year later, I went to a conference for the first time. Why it took me 2 years to go to conference, I'm not exactly sure, but don't do that. And so get to conference this year. I went to conference, finally believed in myself again, and finally had this aha moment, but I don't even know what my aha moment was other than I just believed in myself again. And I sat at the top of the arena that year, and I said, like, I was sitting between my 2 distributors that were with me. I was a Diamond, and I looked down and I said, I want to be in the top 150 walk. Like, they did like a whole parade of people, and I was like, I'm going to be in that. They were going to call my name, and it's going to show up on the screen. And that was one thing that I did. And then I said that I wanted to speak on the white couch. And so I just had this clear vision of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go and what rank I wanted to be at and why I wanted to be at that rank. And then I knew if I helped my team, I would be able to get there. But it all started with me and me running and me pushing for that and then helping everyone on my team get to where they wanted to be, not where I needed them to be. So that's what shifted for me. And then I went double. And with that mentality, I stopped sitting at a rank for a whole year, and I went from double, and 2 months later I hit triple. Why? Because I looked at everybody and said, oh, you want to be a Diamond? Okay, let's get you to Ruby this month. I promoted to double. And then I said, oh, you want to be a Diamond? Okay, well then let's go Emerald this month, and let's go Diamond next month. And so then we set up a plan for them to go Diamond. and 3 rubies on my team all went diamond in 2 months, and that's when I went triple. And it was because I was looking at my team and asking them what goals that they had and making it my mission to help them achieve it. And so then I went triple in May of last year, and then sat there for however long it was till I went presidential last month, sorry. And so I think my leadership style, like I really started after I went triple trying to figure out, okay, how do I become a better leader? Like I've grown a lot. I'm not just focused on me anymore, but how do I become a better leader? How do I keep growing? And so I started thinking of ways to just grow my leadership. And I don't even know, it's been so long since I've thought about that like I don't really know what all I've done since then, but I started having like a leadership chat. I got in contact with someone in this business who is really good at leading and who struggles a little bit more with enrollments. So we help each other so much as accountability partners, where she says, okay, this is what I'm doing for my leaders. This is how I'm leading my teams, how I'm helping my girls. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like just jotting everything that she says down. And then she's like, but how do you enroll? Like however many people that you do? And I'm like, well, I just do this. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. But like, it's just so simple to me. I don't even think about it. And that's how it is for her with leadership. So find someone who has the opposite strengths as you and become their accountability partner. This girl has helped me so much in this business just because she really understands leadership. She's really shown me the importance of self-development. I've done so much self-development for leadership. It doesn't really matter if it's a leadership book or not. If you become a better person, like if you grow yourself, you're automatically a better leader because you have stuff to give people. If you're trying to pour from an empty cup, you're not going to be able to do it. So you have to fill your cup up, and that can look a lot of different ways with a lot of different books or podcasts or whatever, but you've got to be doing self-development. I don't know what rank everybody is in here, but it doesn't really even matter because your paycheck will never exceed your personal development. So if you're a Ruby, but you want to get to Emerald, then you better start doing self-development like an Emerald would. And if you want to go presidential, then you better start doing enough leadership or enough self-development to go presidential and to have that type of a paycheck. Because if you don't, then you're not going to get there. And I never did self-development really until I started going from double to triple, and a little bit going double, but mostly double to triple in like the whole last year. And that's changed everything. I feel like whenever people come to me with questions, I actually know how to answer it because I've read it in a book or because I've learned that myself. But if I'm not learning and growing, I can't help my team and show them how to do any of the things that I'm learning how to do myself. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of the progression of my leadership. And I don't know if any of y'all can relate to that, or if you feel like you're in one season versus another one that I talked about. And it doesn't matter what rank you are. Like, I'm not saying, okay, this is the rank that you're in whenever or this is the season that you're in when you're this rank, or this is the season that you'll be in when you're this rank. Everyone's different, but everyone probably progresses through those types of leadership styles and seasons no matter where you're at. So hopefully, I mean, obviously, and then this time next year, I'm going to be talking about me and like, yeah, I'm so much of a better leader than I was this time last year. And that's how it should be. So I don't know if that helps at all, or if you have any questions I can specifically answer.
Yeah, that's really awesome too, because I know like there's a lot of girls on this team. Some of them have been with me since like I first started, and some of them are not, and they all have such different journeys. But it's cool for me because I went through the kind of same thing. Like, I lost rank for so long, and it was my team's fault. It was never mine. Like, every single time I was like, oh, well, I lost rank because so-and-so quit and so-and-so's not doing this. And like, I always blamed my team, and I didn't know it in the moment. And like, I love sharing that because I didn't know that I was being awful and that I was kind of like bulldozing everyone so that I could make money. Cause I was like, oh, well, my paycheck's bad. So like, y'all step it up. That's how I treated it. And so looking back now, I'm like, that's how I was. But in the moment, I didn't know that because I wasn't, like my leadership hadn't grown at all. And then like now I can't, just like you said, I can't imagine what it's going to be like in months from now, because I am so young. So I've always kind of imagined like what my mind would be like, once I'm older and kind of gone through, like I always say, like once you're a mom, like your whole mindset changes. And like, I can't wait for that to just see what changes too. But it's cool because you get to see your team kind of go through that. And there's a lot of girls that right now are kind of like in a huge leadership change where they're kind of getting a bigger team. They're trying to figure out, how to lead certain kinds of people. And we talk about that a lot, like love languages, and trying to figure out like who feels led best. So like, do you kind of do stuff like that as far as like trying to figure out how to lead certain people?
Yeah, I think for a while I just kind of led everybody how I wanted to be led. And it's crazy because people say, like, treat others the way that you want to be treated. And that's not actually true. Because if I treated everybody the way I want to be treated, they would quit. Because I want somebody to yell at me and to tell me what I'm doing wrong, but then be like, dude, but you got this. Let's go. But if I did that to a yellow, they'd be like, ah, like, no, and like cry and like crawl under a hole, like they don't want to be led like that. And so we talked about this at my leadership retreat, how people are just like, well, I'm this color, so how do I relate to this person? And I think it's really important to make sure that you meet that person where they're at, because if you just treat everybody the same, then it's not going to be as effective. Like, I remember whenever I first started this business, I did that. And I had a team of like 3 or 4 people, and I sent them a mass text, basically bulldozing them, like Cheyenne said, because I just was like, let's go, like, let's do this. And I wasn't saying anything was their fault, but I was like, what are we doing? Like, let's go. And so I was like, this is a really good text. It's so encouraging. And I really wish that I could somehow find it again, but I sent the screenshot to my enroller, all excited and just like, look at what I just did. Like, are you so proud of me? And she sent me a message back and she was like, we're going to never say that to people again, because that was just a little much. And I was like, okay. And like, my enroller is very yellow, so she helps tone me down a little bit. And sometimes I'll send her messages before I send them and just say, I'm just going to run this by you. Is this harsh? And she's like, a little bit, but who are you talking to? And so it'll really help me a lot. But I think, looking at the person that you're talking to and just knowing, like, having a like actual relationship with them, because if I have a conversation with a yellow, and I hope that y'all know color personalities, or else what I'm saying is like French to y'all, or they're pretty, okay. So if I'm talking to a yellow and they're a little bit more sensitive, then I'm gonna, be a little bit more sensitive, be a little bit more understanding, and just kind of like, not more understanding, but just like talk to them in a different way. But then if that doesn't get the job done, I am gonna be more red, and I am gonna be more firm, and I am gonna just be really straight to the point. And they don't do well with that, but I've had to do that with some of my yellows. And because I've built this connection that's deeper than just the business, we're friends. They know my heart, and they know that, like, okay, this is where she's coming from. So even though she's being really harsh to my yellow, I know where she's coming from, and she loves me, and this is why she's telling me this. So I think it's really important not to just try to tiptoe around the yellows, or, to try to, like, whatever with the reds, or, whatever. Like, I think it's really important to meet them where they're at, but then to also be yourself and just know that, like, okay, I love you, and this is where this is coming from. I don't even know what was your question?
You've answered it, just like kind of how to address people. But yeah, that's very true too, because I felt like that was a big thing that I was talking about. It's like when you establish respect with your team, and like they know that, you're doing everything that you're expecting them to do, like the way that you're teaching them, and they know that, they respect you. So then like you coming to them and saying like, hey, maybe you should not do this. They know like you're not ever saying it out of, being disrespectful or saying that they're not doing it right. Like you're doing it out of like genuinely love, because you want them to be successful. So I feel like too, if you're bulldozing your team and then doing that at the same time, that's where it could like create some issues, so it's kind of exactly what you were saying. The next thing I was going to talk about is literally every person on the Zoom is pushing for a promotion, and they're all super close, and it's like so stressful, and we can relate to that. And so kind of like, not only what are your like best tips, not as enrolling and stuff, but just like as a leader, like how to get a promotion done, with breaking it down and like doing layered leadership and things like that, on how to kind of, know what's expected of you, but also how to tell your team what's expected of them too.
Yeah. So I think one thing is, whenever you're going for a specific promotion and you're super, super close, you're going to treat it differently than you would if you're not super close, but you're just blocked in. Okay. So like if you're boxed in, whatever, if you're boxed in for a promotion, but you have a whole entire leg or side that's super weak, you do want to think about like, okay, is this a promotion that's sustainable? Is there going to be volume to follow the promotion? Is the volume going to be uneven? But it sounds like all of y'all have that in place. So with that being said, you're not going to want to really rebuild this month if you are that close to a promotion, because what I was saying before is like, if that's kind of how it is and you're not super close in volume, like you just got blocked in, but this whole entire Ruby leg is like, meh, but you have an executive that's really on fire and enrolling her own distributors, maybe look at replacing that. But in this season right here, where you're at right now, where you're really close to promotion, you just need the volume. If there is someone in a leadership spot that's on your team that's not working, you've got to put in that effort then. Like, you've got to go and get everybody that needs to be there for that promotion, and that's your responsibility. I always look at my chart as, okay, this is how many DTs that I've got assigned. But then I go and teach my team exactly how I'm doing what I'm doing, and hoping that I can inspire them and teach them and encourage them to go and sign their own people so that it doesn't end up being all on me. But I'm expecting myself to take care of that if I need to. And I don't ever look at that and say, okay, Susie over here needs 5 distributors, so she's going to sign those, and I need 2 people on my top line, so that's who I'm going to sign. Like, I look at it and say I need 7 distributors to get my goal. And for layered leadership, if you're, let's just do a diamond, because that's going to be the easiest one probably. So if you're a diamond, you're going to work really, really closely with your emerald and your ruby. And depending on how fast you promoted, or like how fast you got blocked in for diamond, like if you've only been in for a few months, because I've got a lot of those on my team that are like, I've been in for 2 months and I'm already blocked in for diamond and I'm shooting for that this month, and like I literally don't even know how to help lead all these people to lead their own people, and that emerald is even newer than she is. So then go with all your rubies in that emerald. So like all 3 of that's still only 4 people. So you're in close contact with those people every single day, and you're teaching the emerald how to go and duplicate what you're doing with the rubies. You're teaching the rubies how to go and talk to their executives. The rubies take care of the 2 people on their top line. The executive takes care of the 2 people underneath them. That's in an ideal, perfect, awesome world. If you have people that aren't taking care of their boxes, it's on you. And I think a lot of times we look at this and say like, oh, this person's not working, so like I'm not going to be able to promote. Just like Shay said, like you have to look at this and say, no, this is my promotion. Like I can't sit here and say this is my team's fault. It's your fault if you don't hit a promotion. It doesn't matter if anybody's working or if they don't. Because whenever I went diamond, I did it completely by myself. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like literally filled everything myself. But why? Because I just wanted it bad enough. And you can't sit here and be mad at a 400 box for not working as hard as you, because they're not going for diamond. Why would they work as hard as you? You know, so teach them to do what you're doing, teach them how to enroll their own people, and know that that's a 400 box that's got to be filled. And so if they're not going to do it, then you're going to have to. And I think that it's important too, not to put this pressure of like, you're doing this wrong, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, rah, 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 like to your leaders that I'm telling you to stay in contact with every day. Because if that's how you're treating your leaders, it's an insane amount of pressure that you're putting on them that makes this not even fun. So I think it's important, if you do need to have a really serious heart-to-heart conversation with someone because maybe they just haven't posted in 10 days. And, you know, they're saying that they want to go emerald and they haven't posted in 10 days. I think it's really important to have those types of conversations on a FaceTime or on a voice text so that there can be nothing misconstrued. If it's just like a different type of like leadership thing, you're like, hey, maybe this wasn't best, like I noticed that you did this, let's maybe switch that to this. Do a sandwich. So say something really good about them, encourage them and tell them what they are doing right. Then say, but this is one thing that I have noticed I would do a little bit differently because in the past I did this, whatever. And then another sandwich, like, but you're doing great and you're so freaking close. Like we're really, really close to this. Let's do this. And that is going to leave them inspired and motivated, but still ready to make the change that needs to happen there. And I just thought of a random side note too, on that topic, because I know for a lot of us, it's really hard to have conversations with people that just like those awkward conversations, like, how do I talk to this person about this? Like I need to address this issue, whatever it is, but how do I tell them without, like, they're my friend too. And like, I don't know how to, like, whatever. Number one, if you have a friend or family member on your team who's actually working the business and they're like one of your leaders and you really have to have a hard conversation with them, you need to sit them down and, you know, over FaceTime or in person, whatever, and just say, you know, I'm going to talk to you right now as your leader. Okay, we're still best friends, but right now I'm your leader and this is what I wanted to come to you about. And then sandwich it again. Or another tactic that I heard that was really, really good was just tell them like a conversation. Call them and be like, oh my gosh, listen to this. The other day, I did such and such, which is what they're doing. You're going to say that you did that too. So like, look, I don't even have an example of something to talk about, but like if they're doing this particular thing that you really feel like is not okay, that you need to talk to them about it, say, I was doing this and so, like, I mean, you could say Cheyenne, or she could say, Courtney called me and she told me that I should be doing this and this and this instead. Like, I thought that was such a good tip. And you're saying it as if you have the issue and that somebody told you all the tips and you're just letting them know about it. And then they're like, oh, like in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, I did that too. Okay, I'm going to start doing that. And so sometimes that's really effective. If it's like a really hard conversation, I'll just spin it to let them know, like, hey, somebody told me this the other day and it was a super good tip. And you're not really lying either because they did give you that tip eventually, or like at some point, or else you wouldn't know the tip, right? So that's a way, because I think a lot of hard conversations have to happen in promotion months. And so I think a lot of us struggle with like how to do that. And so sometimes they just don't get done, even though they really need to. So I don't know if that helps at all.
Yeah, it does. So like, I know a couple of girls on here kind of dealing with the same thing. They are going for double and they have an emerald that's like not in it, but they have like rubies. There's people below it that are working. And so they're super close, obviously, to push it this month. But like, what kind of conversation would you have with someone that's like not showing up as an emerald? And how can you kind of say like, hey, this is what's expected of you to be a diamond leader? Because like they'll be going for emerald or diamond. What would you say to someone like, hey, this is my question actually. So if you have someone that's going to go for a promotion like that, how do you kind of say like, this is where you're going to go if you work this? Because obviously like you need them to enroll.
Yeah, I think
it's a yikes conversation.
Yeah, assuming that they had at least enrolled somebody at some point, because sometimes people are just like given promotions almost just because like you're like, okay, I need to build a diamond leg real quick. Oh, we just came out with $20 like coupons. Cool, I just signed 20 distributors and I built a diamond leg. And then you're pissed that the emerald isn't working and they're like, I just joined 2 hours ago and I didn't know that I had to be an emerald, So like there was a lot of that on our team last month and they were like, how do I make them work? And I'm like, they didn't ask for that promotion. Like they didn't ask to be in that leadership spot. You just were kind of cornered into making them a leader. So that's going to be a different conversation. So I think let's just assume that's not the case. Let's assume that this is someone who joined the business. They were working. They enrolled a lot of people. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to work with this person. They're going to be my emerald because they're a leader. And then you help them a little bit with their customers and distributors. And then they get to a point where they're like, yeah, no, I'm just not going to do anything. Like I'm just going to chill and they expect you to do the rest of their promotion for them. Let's assume that's the case. Well, then I would sit them down and say, look, this is your chart. This person is working and this person is working. So all you have to do is to fill these however many boxes and here's how you're going to do it. But you haven't posted in a while. You haven't messaged in a while. And I want to know how I can, as a leader, help you so that you can get this promotion that I know would change your family's life, and make it about them. Because if you make it about you, like, I need you to go triple for this promotion for me, then they're going to be like, no, like I already didn't want to work. Now I really don't want to work because you just want me to work for you. Like I joined this business to work for myself and you're making me work for you. So don't make it about them. And I've done that in the past, but I've just learned that you have to say like, I want this promotion for you. You told me you wanted to go emerald because of this. And I know that hasn't changed. So what can I do to help you get closer to this and this and this? And like just literally lay it out and show them on their chart, this is all that you need. And I know that it may seem really far away or it may look really close, but you still have to work. Like you don't have it in the bag because there's credit cards that decline. So no, you can't just sit here and be like, okay, well, it's just going to fall together. Or you can't look at this and say, oh, I'm too far away, because you're never going to get closer sitting there because you're just literally chilling. How are you going to get closer if you're just chilling? So you have to put that work in, whether you feel close, whether you feel far, you've got to put the work in that it takes to get to that promotion. And if after that conversation nothing changes, I would just then say, okay, take ownership. This is my chart. I'm going to get this emerald done because I'm really close and because I deserve this promotion and because these rubies deserve this promotion. And after this month, I'm taking that person off my chart and I'm going to see which ruby works harder and enrolls more. And I will pull them up and I will make them the diamond that I need for whatever promotion. And that's what I did, going from double to triple. And it made my chart really stinking empty. But it also happened in 2 months. Why? Because the rubies were working harder than the diamond and the emerald and the other girl was a 400 box that I had to take from 400 box to diamond. But she did it really fast because she was working with me and we worked together. And then the other girl was a ruby and I pulled her up. And so it doesn't necessarily take longer. It just looks more empty and it sucks a little bit. But then you're going to get over it and it's going to happen faster than it would if you're trying to pull that emerald along. They're like, well, I'll just have one more good conversation and they'll just get it. No, they won't. And so if they do later on down the road, that's great. But for now, we've got to work with people who are working. And that may be different for every single promotion that you have. The person that gets you to double may not be who gets you to triple. Same with presidential, and maybe it will be because the people that got me to double got me to triple. And people that got me to triple got me to presidential. But that was great. But all before that, everyone had already quit. So I had to find new leaders each time. So yeah, that's what I would do.
So good. I love it. We can go ahead and answer questions that are in here. Abby?
Line between being a leader and babying your team. That's kind of like a loaded question. I think it's really circumstantial, but I think the biggest thing is I don't know. I lead probably different than a lot of y'all would lead. So okay, if somebody joins my business, like they're just a brand new distributor, I have a 3-strike rule. If I text you 3 times without a response at all, 3 times in a row, you're out. Like, I'm not going to keep contacting you. But then if they come to me, 100% there to help them. But I just will not continue to reach out to you after 3 times and then just waste my time. So I don't baby them and I don't try to make them work because I've learned that I can't make them work. And now I'm wasting 5 minutes a day on this person trying to message them and get them to work and help them want this and try to show them the vision, and they don't care. And I could have spent 5 minutes with this person over here who's trying to go diamond. So that's what I don't do that. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question. I feel like I have 82 thoughts in my head right now. But I think babying your team is just trying to I think the only way you can baby your team, because I don't think you can ever lead too much or pour into somebody too much. That's not a thing. So I think the only way to baby your team is to try to pull people along that don't want it, and not having those real conversations with them saying, this is what is expected of you. If you want to be the emerald on my chart, if you want to go emerald and earn this $5,000 bonus for your family, this is what I expect you to do. And if you can't do that, then I just need to know, and I want you to be honest with me, because there are people underneath you who are working who I can work with instead. And not having those hard conversations, that would be, I guess, babying your team, or just trying to pull these people along that don't want it instead of focusing on the ones who do. And that's a mistake that I made. I don't know if that helps or if that even made sense at all. Abby, if you want to respond back and say no, this is what I was specifically asked. If you want to be more specific, I'm happy to be more specific, but hopefully that helps.
So really with my team is they just don't do anything. I have to tell them, make sure you're posting. Are you messaging? I have people that are going for emerald who ask me, well, what is this product description? They really have no initiative to do anything on their own. And so I feel because I'm helping them so much that they feel like they don't ever have to work. But then I feel like I'm just dropping all of these distributors that have the potential to be good, and I'm not leading them right. And so I'm just losing all of these people. I just don't know the balance, I guess.
So number one, who enrolled?
Me.
Abby, who enrolled you?
Me.
Cheyenne, yeah.
She was my first distributor.
Aw. Okay. So did Cheyenne message you every day and ask if you've posted?
For some parts, yes, but
Not now.
Yeah, not anymore.
Okay, you said that these are people that are going for Emerald, right?
Right.
When you were going for Emerald, what rank are you?
Diamond.
Okay, so when you were going for Emerald, did Shay text you every day and say, hey, have you posted today?
So that was a rough patch. We didn't like really start getting into it until after I went Emerald. Because I quit and then came back at like when I was going for Diamond, I was like working hard.
Okay. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that you're a Diamond leader and you never had to have somebody sit there and be like, all right, Abby, time to message today. Okay, Abby, you need to post today. Have you done this today? Okay, you need to do this today. And like you say, these people have potential. That I've signed a billion of people in this business with potential, but it doesn't mean that I can do something to make them want it. And they just don't want it. Some people just don't, and it freaking sucks because they do have all the potential in the world. And it just sucks that I can't make them want it, but you can't. And I think right now you're trying to pull these people along because you see something in them that they don't see in themselves yet. And the only thing that you can do is cast the vision. But if you're having to sit there and say, are you posting? Are you messaging? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Like, then you're not going to get anywhere. Like they don't get it. Like no one has ever said, hey, you need to post today. Like, I mean, and whenever I joined, like my enroller was like, do you need any help with anything? And I was like, nope, doing my first wrap party on Friday. Signed my first distributor yesterday and signed 4 customers. What's up? And she was like, okay. Like, and I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying that because like people like us that are on this Zoom, we just get it. We don't need that. And so then another thing I want to ask you is whenever people come to you that are on your team that have been in for longer than a month or so, and they say, hey, what is this product description? What do you say?
I'll tag them. I'll re-tag them in the Facebook post that gives all the descriptions. I'm like, you can always find the answers here for an advance, but for right now, this is it, and I'll send it to them.
Okay. After they've been in for a month, don't do that anymore.
Okay.
And that sounds harsh, but they're never going to stop doing that unless you stop letting them. Like you're enabling them to do that with you. That's why they still do. And so whenever somebody today asked me a question that she's already asked me before, she said, how do you get paid on this? How do you get paid on that? How do you do this? And I was like, I've already told you the ways we make money. So here's a quick link. This is our compensation plan. Go read that and then let me know if you've got specific questions that you didn't understand in here, because I'm not going to tell you everything again that I already told you. I didn't say that part, but I just said like, here's a quick link, go check this out. It's got everything that you need. And then if somebody asks me about a product description, I'll say it's in our team page. I've already tagged them in it. I've already sent them the information. I've already, texted it to them, tagged them in it. They're in all of our team pages. They've got access to all of that. It's in our team page. It's in our team page. And that's all you say. Don't even tag them in it anymore. They've already been tagged. Like it's in our team page. Go check it out. And you can use the search bar if you need to. Like if they've got the resources there, then you giving them that info and saying like, well, it's in our team page, but here you go. You know what they're going to do next time is they're going to be like, I don't really want to look at the team page. She'll just tell me. Well, what's this? And then you tell them, and then they're like, okay, perfect. I'll just come to her every time. And so that's one thing that I've stopped doing, and it's really helped my team to kind of like learn on their own. And then now they don't feel overwhelmed with all their newbies because they're teaching them to just go find it on their own. And that's being a good leader because you're teaching them how to be a leader.
That's good.
That helps a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. I feel comfortable leading my team I feel like I'm really bad at reading. I feel like I'm comfortable leading my team that does know what they're supposed to be doing. But I don't lead my newbies well at all, so they end up dead. Do you have tips for learning how to lead people that don't quite know what they're doing yet? Then how did your newbies that know what they're supposed to be doing get to the point where they know what they're supposed to be doing?
Oh, man. I don't know. Katie, are you on here? Okay, so whenever I first started, like, I was actually looking back at my old Ruby charts whenever I wrote Ruby, and, like, my diamond leg wasn't even on my Ruby chart at that point. Like, she was there on my team, but she wasn't working, like, and I don't really know, Katie, I guess this is when you can pop in and just kind of, like, explain, because I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did that got Katie to work, but I feel like now all it is for me is, like, I know how she works because we're friends and we talk about it, and like I know what I need to do whenever she's like slacking, because I feel like she knows what she needs to do. I just have to be the one that tells her, you know, remember, this is what you're supposed to be doing and this is why you're supposed to be doing it, and like that's all it takes. But for like someone who doesn't really know what they're supposed to be doing, I feel like I just kind of assume that they know. But then like I have to remind myself, you know, like think back whenever you first joined and you were just going executive and you like kind of knew what the chart meant, but also not really. And like that's where I'm kind of at. It's just kind of like I don't know if I'm pushing them, like I'm pushing my diamond leg and it's just not working. I don't know.
Do you have like a newbie training that you follow?
I mean, I send them, yeah, like I send them the new distributor training that Cheyenne just re-recorded recently, and then I usually tell them, you know, once you finish that, let me know, and we'll go over how to make your first post. And so I usually don't tell them what they're, you know, how to sign loyal customers and stuff until they post, because I feel like if they skip the post, they're never going to do it. And I've learned that the hard way. And then after they post, then we just kind of go over, you know, your first 4 loyal customer goals and how to do it and things like that. But I don't know.
And then after they do their initial training, then what do you do with them?
I feel like I don't know. I mean, like,
Do you check in with them every day?
I wouldn't say every day, but I'll check in with them a couple times a week, you know, and just be like, hey, you know, how are things going? Like, what do you need from me? Like, do you feel like you have all of the information that you need? And like a lot of the times I just either won't get a response or I'll get like, yeah, it's going great. And I'm just like, well, not really, obviously, because you haven't enrolled.
Okay, so what I would do is change the wording of that and just say something like, hey girl, I hope you're having a great day. Just was thinking about you and I wanted to know what you were having trouble with or what are you struggling with? Because if you ask them, are you struggling with anything? They may feel guilty or shameful or bad and be like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to do any of this, but I don't want to tell her because like I feel like I'm the only one that struggles with this stuff. So it'd be like, hey, I know you don't know all of the answers yet. So what are you struggling with? Because I want to help you. And people respond better to that. And they're like, oh, I'm struggling with this. Because you're not saying, are you? You're saying, I know you are. So what is it? And so then they respond back and they tell you what they're struggling with. And then you're able to talk to them about that. Send them a link, send them a video, talk to them, send them a voice text, offer to FaceTime and chat with them. And then if that doesn't help, or if it does, or if they like leave the conversation like, all right, I'm going to work on that, then you write in your calendar for the next day, follow up with Allie and ask her if this, whatever. So like a girl asked me about that. She's like, how do I go Ruby? And I was like, let me tag you in this video on the team page. And then the next day I said, did you have time to like look over that video? And she was like, yeah, but I'm really overwhelmed by it. And I said, okay, great. What do you have questions about specifically? And so now I'm following up with her. She knows that I care. She's reaching out to me first now. And it's just breaking down that wall of that, like, oh, I can't go to her with my questions because she's going to think I'm stupid. And you have to remember that it's not because they don't want it. It's because they're really nervous, that they think they're the only one who just doesn't get it. You have to remind them that, like, no, I started where you are. I didn't know any of this either, but I've learned it along the way. And sometimes I forget that you don't know this stuff, so I need you to tell me. And so if you kind of open it up like that, they're going to be really grateful that you are really like honest with them. So the fact that what you just told me, don't feel weird telling your newbies that and saying, you know, sometimes I forget what it was like to be a new distributor, so please help me help you and let me know what you're struggling with because I forget what I didn't know before. And I think another thing too is that some like the people that really want it are the ones who are going to text you first every day, you know, or, well, maybe not, because I didn't really text my enroller at all. And I was just like working behind the scenes. So that's why it is important to check in with your newbies, but then also to know that people like Katie are going to come to you first and they're going to ask you questions and things like that. And it's going to be really easy to lead those people. And the people that don't come to you are ones you've got to be intentional about following up with and like, you know, asking them how their day was, making sure, you know, hey, we've got a Zoom tonight. Don't forget about that. Yada, yada. Okay, next. Oh, this is actually yours too. I also kind of explain that everyone wants sensitive yellows. Do you have any other simple strengths? everybody is different. She's asking about the colors and like how I like specifically approach them all. I think the blues, they just can't be too serious. Like if you try to make this like, hey, you need to work and you got to sit down and for the next 2 hours you're just going to message like that, they're going to be like, that sounds so boring. No, thank you. So you've got to make it like fun and exciting for them and remind them how fun this business is and that promoting is so freaking fun. Like it's a lot of work, but it's so fun. And like be like, hey, I want to throw you a diamond party. So you better get to work and go diamond because we're not going to be able to have a party if you don't go diamond. And just talking to them based on what they want and what they like. Yellow is a little bit more sensitive. Greens, I just get really detailed and I don't know. I don't really know. I just know the person. So I just kind of talk to the person. That goes back to really creating a relationship with them where it's not just looking at somebody and saying, oh, okay, this is Zoe and she's really sensitive. It's like, this is Zoe and she's a yellow, so she really responds this way. And as my friend, I know that I can say this to her and I should not say this. So, and it takes a lot of trial and error and saying the wrong things. You're going to screw up and it's fine. You just learn from it and tell that person that you're sorry because it's going to happen. Like, we're not all perfect. Or none of us are perfect. We're not all perfect like me. Okay. So for my third leg for triple blocked on everything. She's 90 T's from being boxed in for diamond. I've enrolled everything on that leg. What's your take on that? The Emerald's working super hard. And so is her team, but I'm not sure what to do. I would take that Emerald and I'd bring her up. I wouldn't build somebody that blocks you. And if you're 90 T's away, it's not like, okay, she's completely blocked in. Everybody on her chart's working. She's only 2,000 BV away. That might be a little bit different, but I think if you're 9 distributors away, and you can ask Cheyenne too, because this is her chart too. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But if it was somebody on my team asking me this question, I would say 100% run with the Emerald. If they're working hard.
I agree.
That's what I would say. What? Oh, I thought it went to it like took the yellow box to your screen. I know you were trying to say something too, but yeah.
No, because that whole leg is brand new with $20, people. So, I mean, her not working is not really a surprise because she didn't expect to be diamond. Like, it's a lot of pressure. So, if that Emerald's working, just go with that.
Yeah, for sure. Do I tell them about the 3-strike rule? No, definitely not. If they're not replying to me, they don't really care if I stop messaging them.
One more strike and you're out.
Welcome to It Works. I'm so excited to help you. You have 3 strikes, and if I message you 3 times to hear back from you, bye. I don't tell them that, but like it's just kind of, and then like if I message them once they don't reply, and then I message them again and they do, it starts all over. Like I'm very gracious. Like I don't want you to think I'm like merciless, and I'm like, there was 3 times over the course of a year and you didn't reply back to me. I'm done with you. You're off my chart. Like, it's just like kind of a rule of thumb. Like if I'm continually messaging you and the whole entire screen is just blue, I'm not going to keep messaging you because I don't want to bug you and waste your time or my time. Like you don't have to do this. It's okay. This isn't for everybody. This isn't what everybody is completely passionate about like us. But for the ones that are, I'm going to work with them. So I don't know if that helps at all, but hopefully that answers all those questions.
Yes, you did. So I know I hate being asked this question, but do you have like one last like leadership tip or maybe like one last tip to, encourage them to reach their promotions because they're all so close? Just spit out something that just pops to your head first.
Yeah, so I think going back to what I said before, that your paycheck never exceeds your self-development. So if you're not doing self-development, I know for me in the past, like on the months I was promoting, I was less likely to do self-development because I was like, okay, well, I need to be working versus doing self-development. Like it's not as important these months because like I'm already locked in. I feel great. Like promotion months are fun. They are really hard too, but they're also super fun. And so I would just have these moments where I was like, okay, I don't need self-development today. I'm good. Like I don't really need any encouragement or whatever because I'm on the mountaintop. And so I would wait until I felt completely depleted, and then I would say, okay, now I need self-development. And so what I found was that every single time, like here's my cup, and then every time that I did not do self-development, I got lower and lower and lower and lower, and my cup just got more and more empty. Then my cup was completely depleted. I had nothing left to give the distributors who were coming to me and asking me questions. It was making me frustrated. It was making me like just I don't know, just like not super pleasant to be around because I just like did not have any more to give. You know, have y'all ever felt like that? Like where you just have so many people coming to you and needing things from you and expecting things from you as their leader, which is what you should be doing, but it's just a lot because you're just completely empty. That's how I felt. And then I would do self-development and I would fill my cup back up, but then it would slowly deplete again because I just filled it right back up. I didn't ever bring it to the point where it was overflowing and my cup had to grow to hold all of it. And so I encourage you this month, even though you don't think you have time for self-development, you don't have time to not do self-development. And it doesn't have to be sitting down for 3 hours and reading a book. It's literally you in the car listening to an audible book, or you walking around the house like, okay, we still have to do laundry and make our beds and whatever. Like, listen to self-development while you're doing that. Take it in the shower with you. Like, listen to it in the shower. Whatever you're doing, have something playing in the background. And I told Denise Walsh one time, I was like, I can't do that because I don't learn that way. Like, I have to visually see stuff. And she said, your brain subconsciously picks up more than what you think it does. And I was like, okay, well, you know what you're doing, so I'm going to listen to you. So I did that, and y'all, it's crazy how much I pick up and how much I retain just from, like, listening in the background while I'm messaging or doing something else. So do self-development, even though you don't think that you need it. You do need it desperately this month because you're going to be constantly getting your cup lower and lower and lower, and you've got to fill that back up, and you want to grow yourself beyond just filling it, emptying it, filling it, emptying it, because you're never going to get a bit bigger as a person. So that's the biggest thing, and just making sure that as you're becoming a better person, like as you're growing yourself, to show your leaders how to do that too. It's all about duplication. Like if you're duplicating what you're doing, then show your team how to do that. And, I lost my train of thought. Show your team how to do that. Do self-development. Grow yourself. Show your team how to do that.
I do this all the time.
I lost it. What? Hang on, wait. I don't remember. It's like on the tip of my tongue too. I forgot what else I was gonna say, but and make sure that you're not just like running on fumes and stuff, because if you do,
Gets it, loses it as soon as she gets it back.
Wait. If I just keep talking, I feel like it'll come.
Maybe rubbing your forehead.
Y'all are probably like, this girl is so weird. Yeah, anyways, all right, well, do self-development. That's my last tip. Oh, it was something about, like, being a leader and, like, showing your team how to do that stuff, too, so that they're growing in their own leadership. Oh, my God. Whatever, it doesn't even matter. I'll just text Cheyenne later.
Thank you so much for doing this. Does anybody else have any last-minute questions? I know Morgan will answer anything, and she won't think you're stupid.
Especially not after that. Wow.
Okay, well, if nobody else wants to say anything or chit-chat any longer, thank you so much for doing this. That helped a lot. I literally took multiple pages of notes, so I'm excited. But yeah, so thank you. I hope you have a good night, and I will probably talk to you tomorrow because I always talk to you. So bye.
See all your promotions. Bye, guys.
Bye. Hey, people.
Hi.
Did that help? Do y'all love her as much as I love her?
Yes. Yo, I sound like a man.
You do.
I'm not turning my camera on, but it's just straight death over here.
It's okay, look at me. I think we all look great. We're just a bunch of beauty queens. Okay, I locked the Zoom so that nobody else could get on.
Yeah, everyone's telling me it's locked, and I'm like, you're not invited.
They said it would be open in like 3 minutes.
Alyssa,
I was in the shower when she was answering my question, and she was like, if you want to hop on and like kind of explain. I had shampoo in my hair, and I ran out of the shower and like turned the water off. I was like, shit.
yeah, I just love her so much. Like she's like super red, but she's also like extremely caring. Like she makes me cry a lot just because she's so nice. But I kid y'all not, you guys, that's the most inspiring thing that's ever happened to me, was when she like grabbed my shoulders at conference and I was there by myself and I felt so stupid because I was making $200 at the time. She was like, just wait, dude, just wait. You're going to be here. She just inspires the heck out of me. So I thought it would be really great for her to be on with y'all because there's a lot of questions that y'all ask. You can hear me talk all day long, but hearing someone else say it makes it more logical.
Yeah, we are so sick of you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, you could literally ask me the same thing. Like, a lot of people ask me the same question, just, like, in different ways. And, like, I say this, you'll know what I'm going to say. So.
Why would we ask you if we knew what you were going to say?
I just ask her the stupidest questions sometimes just to simply get an answer out of her. I'm like, where do I place this customer? And she's just like, really? And I'm like, hey, I just like want your input.
I'm the same way, though. I did that to Courtney probably, I mean, even now. Like, I texted her 2 days ago, and I was like, shooting to place a customer. Remind me in an hour to place a customer. Make sure to send in y'all's chats to remind people about the sim if y'all haven't already. You can get paid through a commission card or you can do bank direct deposit.
Hey Shay, you know that girl, Lexi? That Lexi girl?
Mhm.
So I texted her and she said, I'm not going to have service this weekend. And I was like, okay. And then I texted her again, like, tonight. She didn't respond. So
Yeah,
that was,
she
like,
told me she wasn't going to be in service too, so.
So 3 strike rule? That was her 3rd strike.
Maybe one more.
Okay. You have one. I'm going to give you a 4th strike, okay? Don't ruin it.
Oh, I need to stop this